guess my number one priority in the city is just, infrastructure, update, fixing our roads, our sewers is probably my number one priority over anything else because our infrastructure is old and outdated and, we have a lot of water main breaks in the winter and preventing that and inconvenience and the cost of fixing them all the time is huge. So for me, that's my number one goal all around, is just infrastructure.
Thank you.
I guess we'll start with higher level, some goals then. I think pension and OPEB is obviously, I know we're working on some various solutions, but continuing to make sure we don't kick the can down the road, further with that is certainly, a goal of mine.
Thank you.
I guess, Madam Mayor, mine would be pretty much like Sarah is the neighborhood streets. I know the only thing that's stopping us to fix all of our neighborhood streets is money. So I guess we have to be creative in that and open all the doors that we possibly can to, but some of the neighborhood streets you can't go to speed limits, so some of them are so bad. So that definitely is one of my priorities and goals, to concentrate on the neighborhood streets.
Councilman?
Yeah, it's pretty much already been stated, streets are, we all drive down, so we know the conditions of them. But I know we have plans in place to try to take care of that, as far as like our neighborhoods, like parks and things, there's movement to try to improve and maintain good conditions in our parks, and, we want everyone to have, somewhere to go, something to enjoy in the city. So looking at those things, I think would be my, kind of like the same thing as everybody else. We all want to travel safe roads, we want to have good quality roads, we don't want our cars torn up. With our parks, we want them to be clean and enjoyable and have something that accommodates for everyone, not just elderly, not just young, but, also those who have disabilities. So things of that nature, would be mine.
For me, like neighborhood goals is pretty much sustainability. And we say sustainability, so if none of us is here tomorrow, how does this city keep going, right? And so the plans that we have is some of the things that I have as far as neighborhood goals was trying to possibly use some of our AARP and our CDB funding with possibly accessibility, citywide internet accessibility, with broadband, things like that. Also, infrastructure is, a big piece, and I think we've been working on that as far as paving the streets. I know we was talking about reconstruction for a long time, and then our last director was talking about we can't afford that, so how can we still make our streets a better quality of life with our streets and things like that? Because I think we started that process already, correct? With doing more pavement, better, we're not reconstructing the streets, but I think he was doing some type of pavement work, right?
Yeah, and certain areas that are identified, some of the issues like we had talked about, I think Universal and a few other roads, they've done some things to kind of maintain them for the time being until they are on the schedule to be reconstructed.
Because they gave us a time like 10 years, correct, for each of those. Can we see, did they start on that already? I think they started on some of them. About to.
They will. So anything that that comes up as an issue, like Universal, they go out and do like patchwork so that it's fine, for the time being. And then when it comes up, AEW has a schedule of all the roads and kind of the condition that they're in. And so we follow AEW's recommendation on those.
Okay. I would like to get another, update on where we're at with that. And
Absolutely.
all the council, so we can be updated on what areas there. I know it's one church over there that has the children's housing, the pregnancy aid and things, and they said that street is so bad that their members of the church can barely drive on that street. I can't think of the street over there. I think.
Is it Universal?
Is it, yeah,
Is it
I think that's
Yep,
Universal,
yep.
where- yeah.
We did
that's
talk
right.
about that one, yes.
Yeah, so they said it's really bad over there, so I would like to see, all the council would like to see like where they're at right now with the infrastructure on that.
Yes.
And probably like the whole, where we're at and where we're going, what's next. And then cause I know they do the pacer rates from the forest being the highest. So where are they at as far as, fixing up the streets? And why are they, and how can we get sustainability in certain areas where, what's causing it? Is it so much you know what I'm saying, traffic, what's going on, why is it getting so bad so fast? I know 9 Mile is a main street, that's why we always constructing it, because we use it the most, you know what I'm saying? So there's nothing we really can do about that. But also neighborhood goals, I know a lot of people still talk about the traffic. And it's a lot of residents that don't show up to council meetings. That doesn't mean they don't have a voice. So just because sometimes people don't show up, we got 33,000 residents, that doesn't mean people don't care. People have work, jobs, and some people just don't come to council meetings. But they sure know how to email the mayor, okay? And when they see me on the street, they sure tell me what they want. And a lot of people are consistently talking about the traffic and things like that. And we're still talking, and they said, Mayor, why we don't have speed bumps? I said, I brought that up to council 3 years ago. So, those are certain things that we might want to think about in certain areas and get the director's direction on that, and also council and seeing, doing a survey, like we do everything else, a survey on what do, the communities want. We just got to get people to actually, not the same people. Well, we love the same people, but people that actually, people are moving in here. And again, everybody doesn't go on our website, and thank you again for putting the paper out, because a lot of people don't go to our website and don't know about the survey, so we might get the same data and statistics from the same people that tune in, and the people that don't tune in, they're like, why we don't have this? And then, so of course, the infrastructure, everybody agreed upon. And then it was something that we were talking about as far as those rain gardens. I think we talked about that like 2 years ago. It was like little rain gardens, so when the rain and stuff comes down, the storm water comes down, it will help with flooding and things like that
Okay.
in the environment. So anything that has something to do with the roads, environment, safety in our neighborhood is very important to me. And those are things that we can do, that short-term goals. And also,
Madam Mayor, really quick?
yes, ma'am.
So the mayor mentioned, rain gardens, and I think rain gardens is a great idea too, and I don't know, like, if, there are grants available out there that could possibly help offset the cost of some rain gardens, because I know in some of our parks, we definitely have a lot of flooding issues. And I think putting rain gardens in would definitely help cut down in those, areas in those parks. I know it's a cost that, like, we don't necessarily have the money to spend on, because our parks, like, Councilman Baker said, need a lot of updating already, and we need to be also maintaining what we already have better than probably what we do. So, I'm just thinking there might be some incentive. I know at one time, the Clinton Watershed had come out and spoken about rain gardens, so maybe reaching out to them, they might have some information on how to get some funding to help incorporate some rain gardens into our parks.
Yeah,
They have mini grants.
they do. So, we'll put that. So that'll probably help the parks and, all that water, because water mess up the streets and stuff like that. So we want to find ways that we can save money, in the future. So rain gardens, that will help our infrastructure and things like that. And as well as, tearing up our streets. And I told you where I stayed at, people can't turn left on Kelly Road, so they make a quick left on my street, and they just rush down that street to get back to Kelly Road. So, and this is certain locations where speed bumps will really be, safe, especially if we do a citywide, like I said, survey, and seeing if this is something that the residents will like, and I know it was some lady in the handicap area that said we need signs for letting people know on that street that it's a disabled child in that area to slow down and things like that. So we need things like that in our community, in our neighborhoods as well. So safety, infrastructure, like everybody said, possibly rain gardens in our parks and things like that. Yes, ma'am.
So I do have a question about that too, because I've had people reach out to me too about getting signs. And I know in other communities, like if there's a deaf child, they'll put up a sign saying like deaf child in the area or autistic child in the area. So we could maybe work with our police department to find out what we could do to help provide some of these signs in our neighborhoods. I know they don't always necessarily help, but if they help just that one person slowing down, it could save a life. So I think that, maybe looking into that is something that really wouldn't even cost the city a lot of money that maybe we could implement. Because I agree with the mayor, I've had complaints about people recommending actually requesting those signs also.
Okay.
And then looking at some of the objectives, promote diverse range of quality housing choices. I think we have done that twice with, we have senior housing here, we have low-income housing, but we want to have also probably work on moderate housing too. We want to be diverse community, and also for, people who are looking to live here that are probably single and young and things like that. And I think we talked about changing the mixed use on Kelly Road, or finding some investors that want to do apartments and things like that. I think what they did over there with the low-income housing is beautiful, and I understand that whole life, style, and when you're trying to make a certain amount of money, and this world is getting more expensive as I'm talking right now. So but we still want to have different levels of housing, and I know you all talked about that. I see. Good evening, Ms. Holman. I think you're probably about to speak on that a little bit.
Good evening, Mayor. Yes, actually, affordable housing, which actually does go quite a range, is really lacking everywhere. And so I just wanted to let you know that Macomb County is very pleased with the partnerships that this council has approved with Habitat and with Community Housing Network, because a lot of other communities are not doing that. For instance, Habitat brought in the 13 new first-time homeowners last year. CHN has 3 houses currently up for sale that they renovated, and of course, they are the ones who developed Aaron Park on the old Deerfield site. So that is something that is severely lacking. Yes, we are looking into development incentives also. If there is land that could be redeveloped into multifamily, that's also something that, or quality multifamily, that's something that is lacking in many areas. Obviously, our market went up pretty high during COVID. We were fortunate that way, but we need to look at other opportunities to try and find this mix, this true mix and diversity of housing choices.
I think we tried that not too long ago too, and we tried to do that container home project. So we've, like I said, I gave you all a compliment, what was it, last meeting, and said we are very proactive. And the thing, just because we haven't gotten it done, doesn't mean we didn't try. So it's still proactive in how we do things, So I think, would you like to say something, Councilman? Sometimes I look this way, don't see you, I'm sorry. Yes, sir.
Yeah, I think this goal for sure, I think overlaps with plenty of other things too. I think the tax reversion policy that our committee came up with, I think has helped a lot, because I'm sure, as all of you know, if, one house on your street that's, a blight can kind of bring down the whole neighborhood, if your neighbors, you try to keep up with your neighbors, right? So I think this has been helpful when we've bought them back and, we've rehabbed some, or we've sold them to Habitat or Community Housing Network. I certainly want to continue that program. I think that certainly helps, and, we've got, maybe we'll have some new homes, maybe with this new, potentially, I'm sure it's been a while since we've really had any newly built homes in the city. There's not usually too much opportunity for that. But I think all of these goals combined, I think, help keep the, all our different blocks and neighborhoods looking real nice. So, as long as we keep that up, that's, something we always have to keep up at all times and think about. So I think that's helpful. And certainly looking at mixed use on 9 Mile or Kelly, I think would certainly be helpful, and that'll be additional housing in the city. We don't really have any mixed use, maybe, a handful of grandfathered in buildings or something like that, but that's about it. So, yeah, I think that all sounds good.
If I may, also the building department has made it a real priority on identifying vacant homes and really double-checking our system for those that are registered and those that are not. And they're working with the neighborhoods and really making that a priority, as well as with the rentals. They have really cracked down on some of the issues that have happened with the rentals. So just so that you're aware that this is also a priority and also helps us gather data. And so we can watch those properties that may be vacant and the taxes are not being paid.
No, I know it came to council one time where we were talking about, we have the building department and we look at these houses, I can't think of the name of it for, but we were talking about when we had those sessions, when we talk about those people coming and we're gonna condemn their house if they don't get it fixed up and things like that. And I said, why do we keep on wasting time and why we just don't buy the property from them? I don't know if Mr. Albright looked into that more. So, because if these people lose the house anyway, due to the fact of they're not improving it and it comes back to us anyway, why don't we just offer them to possibly buy the home if they're gonna lose it anyway, or something like that? I don't know if you guys remember that conversation when we did that. Do you remember that conversation?
I remember it a little bit, yeah.
Yeah.
I do remember it somewhat as well.
Yeah, and I think I was saying, is that a possibility? And I think, I don't know if Councilman Curley remembered that when we were talking about that being the idea, we buy those houses and fix them up. And possibly.
Yeah.
Yeah, instead of wasting time.
If
and
I
having
may,
all those-
Mayor, one of the things that we have to be very careful of as a government is the issue of taking. And so there could be lawsuits if the appropriate value is not offered for houses. So it's a very slippery slope to actually go up to some. I mean, there are a lot of slumlords that's what they do. We get FOIAs every month for who's not paying their water bill, who's not paying their taxes, and that's what they do. They go knock on the door and they say, I'll give you, a minimal amount. And that's, as a government, that's really bordering on constitutional issues, which is why we focus on the tax reversion, because that is a statutory process that is actually allowed by law. So it's something we have to be very careful. I'm sure Mr. Albright would say the same.
Yeah, we have, the city has acquired properties in the past. I know we had the one recently that was the fire-damaged property, and we did acquire that property, so the city is now the owner of that. And the property owner is absolved from any expenses or nuisance abatement cost on that particular one. But
Yeah,
And in that case, we did not pay any value for it.
that's right.
It was for $1, although the total between the dangerous buildings and the demolition was close to $30,000. So in that case, we wouldn't be at issue because basically we saved her, $29,000, $29,099, whatever. So in that case, it's a completely different situation. We ideally would like to get to focus on these properties, and with the help of the building department and tracking the vacant properties and seeing what the status is, catching the water before it floods the houses, that kind of thing. We had 2 this past round that had 4 to 5 feet of water. So if we can, they're watching the water usage. It's really incredible what they're doing and coordinating with the other departments.
Councilman Curley.
Thank you, Madam Mayor. All the ideas that have been put forward are good ideas and innovative ideas. But I think not every single resident, but I think a huge amount of residents that all they want the city to do is make sure the houses are kept up, gutters kept up. They want to get rid of all the rat problems that we have, and the building department people are doing a good job on that. But I think that's the bottom line. I think that people just want to have a comfortable house and they want to have a comfortable neighborhood. And I think that ought to be our priority as well, is to make sure that if we have a problem with a house that's, like I said, gutters falling down, rubbish all over the place, that if we can get that taken care of, we're going to have a lot of happy residents in our city.
I'm glad you added that. What are we doing with the rat problem? That is in the neighborhood, and, how can we lessen that? And what can we do to, because I think our neighborhoods and things like that are are really clean, good neighborhoods, but I'm like, I see a big rat problem. And what can we do?
So McKenna has come in, and they've done a phenomenal job bringing in their code enforcement officers. So they're responding to any complaints that we have or homeowners that do report it in the neighborhood. It is kind of restricted because part of the issue is that it is a neighborhood problem, so like a, small area, depending on, if there's a shed that's kind of sitting up that allows them to harbor, if there's, dog feces in the neighborhood. So it really depends on the neighbors in the area, because they have to have something to feed off of to stay alive in that area. And so our code enforcement officers have gone in different areas that they've reported it. They visit all of the neighbors' homes and give advice. Is this kind of ringing to you guys? Can you turn me down, Mike? So they've gone in, they do the reviews whenever it's reported, and they go to all the homes in the area and give recommendations on what the homeowner can do on that specific property to eliminate rats from harboring in the area. So we've done that consistently, but our hands are kind of tied because it is up to residents working together to ensure those things are not, still on? To ensure those things are not still happening in the area to harbor rats. So we have done that. We do require certain homes that put out different cages, different traps, and different things like that. And so we have been strict on enforcing it. We are bringing in 2 additional code enforcement officers that will address more than just the rat problem. So as Councilmember Curley stated, maintaining homes when it comes to grass season, snow enforcement, and things like that. So we will see an uptick in code enforcement in the community.
Thank you. I think we got covered the housing choices. I think what I was talking about a little bit was not, if the houses are coming to us and the people can't afford to get these things fixed, and we kind of, they're targeted to just leaving the home alone and saying, I don't want to get it fixed, I don't care about this house anymore. Is there a discussion where they can say, okay, well, since you're not going to get anything fixed, it's going to come to us anyway. It saves us money than going to doing all this paperwork. If they want to buy and offer us to, buy their home and save money, that's all I'm saying about that.
Yeah,
Like the lady did with the house, the burnt house.
the city would have the ability to purchase a piece of real estate in this city. That would have to come from the council to agree to do that. And again, we'd want to make sure that it was for market value and probably have the property owner sign some type of document indicating that they're entering into this transaction freely and voluntarily, that they understand that they've had an opportunity to speak with legal counsel regarding the sale of the property, and then ultimately it would be the city council that would be acquiring the property. And then, of course, you have the issue then with maintenance. The city then would be responsible for maintaining the property until it was either rehabbed or sold to someone else.
Madam Mayor.
Yes, ma'am.
My biggest concern with a program like that is the fact that these houses are already coming to us for dangerous buildings.
Yeah.
So I worry about the liability later, like they're gonna come back later on and be like, oh, maybe I could have gotten more money, I'm gonna sue the city, saying that they harassed me into selling the house to them. So for me, it's a program I wouldn't feel comfortable in. I'd rather go through the steps like Ms. Holman mentioned with the regular tax foreclosure. So in my opinion, it's not something that I would necessarily probably be interested in, just because I think long-term it could cause some possibility of litigation, which is costing us even more money then, because then we pay for lawyers for litigation, so.
Yeah, but we pay for our lawyer for every time we have a building, Every time he sends out letters and come here to tell tell people to continuously, and I think you pay you very well an hour, right? So, it's different, it's just an idea, I don't never like going all the way to the level they're suing. I hate the word sue the city, but it's just another idea of saying, what can we do with other properties?
Yeah.
And,
You do make a good point, Mayor, and I think with sending our newsletter out, we're planning to do that quarterly, and so that's something that we can put when there are different resources that the county or the state has. That's something that we can provide in there. So if there's homeowners that do need assistance, they can follow up with those programs at the federal or the state or county.
yeah, and sometimes they might say,
If I may, there are a lot of agencies that people can go through the county, and and before they have exhausted all of those opportunities, whether it's to get the county to pay for putting new siding on or new gutters on or whatever, when that's been all exhausted, then I think that's a time that the city probably would want to step in. I don't think I'd want to be the first one to step in and buy somebody's house when they could have went to one of the agencies at the county level and have gotten that fixed. So we want to we'd want to make sure that that was
Yeah, I think.
done.
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, I think we do that now, but just another way to get the houses back if someone can't afford it. And, 'cause sometimes they go to the treasurer, they get, sometimes they don't get what they really want then. So we did that. Now preserving and protecting existing neighborhoods, I think we talked about the rain gardens and the rats and things like that. We talked about, the speed bumps. And then prioritize vacant, underutilized residential properties for redevelopment and ensure compatibility. I think we talked about that when we talked about the misuse. So I guess we want to go to the next page unless someone want to add to this. We can move right along. Oh, so before we go to the next page, do y'all have any, I think some of the top was probably infrastructure. I know you're going to send us a list of where we're at with that on the pavement, so we can be updated with that. And possibly doing a survey, 'cause it's about to be summertime and things like that, for what the community wants about speed bumps. And I think we all said reach out to talk about the rain gardens, because I think that's something that's short-term. Rain gardens, we got many grants with that. And then we got CDBG funding to help pay for that. That'll help with flooding and all type of things like that. So we want to have short-term and long-term goals. And Councilman DeMonico talked about pension. That's kind of like a long-term goal. But yeah, I think we have, Mr. Blum, you have been working on that. Is there any other way we can lower that or combat that in a better way?
Well, the council has approved changes to the retiree health care coverage. We're seeing the impact of that, and we're still looking at bonding out the pension. Hopefully by the end of the year, we'll get going on that one.
Okay.
But those are about the only things going on right now.
Fiscal year, or calendar year?
Calendar.
Okay, since we were proactive again. So infrastructure, you'll send us that. Looking into the rain gardens and getting a mini grant possibly. I think Councilwoman, you had your hand up. I'm sorry if I. Oh, you didn't? I'm good, okay. And I do want to see about the safetiness of the neighborhoods with the speed bumps. I know our director and so many of you all out there, we have the neighborhood watch. And it's only so many, and I know we were talking about getting decals for the cars and stickers for the neighborhood watches and stuff like that. I don't know if you all came up with a price and how that looks. I know he was talking about doing that. And probably giving people IDs if they are, I don't know how far the director is with that. So that's why I wanted everybody to be here so we can see what their goals were for this year and next year. So we all can be in one room. So if you can get a chance, and because we can always do a part 2. And if you can get us all their goals when you get a chance, and then we all can look over it and come back and.
Absolutely. We have a directors meeting tomorrow morning, so we'll put this together and then touch base with all the directors, and we'll send a formalized copy on the computer to everyone to have it organized. And then
Okay.
if you'd like an item on the next agenda, we can touch base there, and then if there's any changes that are needed, we can do that.
Okay, so I want them to know our goals as a council, and then how can they meet our goal, and what their goals reflect ours. Councilman DeMonico?
Yeah, I wanted, if I could comment on one then, because, I guess I think a lot of things we're agreeing on so far, but I guess I just wanted to speak up in case I didn't agree on one. Well, I guess maybe two. We talked about, purchasing homes pre-tax reversion. I think I'd be with Mayor Pro Tem and Councilman here on that. And then on speed bumps, I looked into this a little while ago after one of the neighborhood watch groups. I mean, certainly, right, we see a lot of people talking about speeding, and we've used the speed trailer as we can and things like that, and speed bumps sounded good, but I looked into the program that the city of Detroit did, and it just gets so expensive so fast, I feel like, and then picking the streets that we would do is hard. I think at this point, unless, at least, you know, my vote would be to not even like look into those right now. I think maybe if like someone on council wants to bring some more information forward on that, but I think it would just be very, very costly. I mean, I think the city of Detroit, and this is just around like the schools, they spent like $14 million. They did like $100,000 pilot, and then I think they spent 14 million. It's probably more since then. This was like a couple articles I read a couple years ago when the Neighborhood Watch brought it up. But, and that only covers like the side streets around schools even. So then, you know, residents that aren't on those streets are gonna, you know, want a speed bump too and that kind of thing. But, you know, we could discuss it further at another time, but I think right now I wouldn't want to add that to our list of goals.
Madam Mayor?
Yes, ma'am.
Yeah, and if I may, my biggest concern with speed bumps, I like the idea of slowing down speeders, but sometimes speeding is necessary when it comes to our police and fire department. So it's definitely something I would like maybe, before we did look into it, is whether or not our public safety director, and our deputy fire chief would recommend them, because I know for me personally, especially, like, I want the fastest response time possible if I need that assistance. So that would be a concern to me. Because I don't live right off of 9 Mile. Like, they would probably have going over 4 speed bumps on my street before they got to my house. So that would be slowing them down, you know? So that would be my biggest concern.
Yeah, I actually live by 9 Mile, and it's been a lot of accidents right there, like I said, and children play at that corner. So, you know, and I don't want to say what's more important just because you stay further away from danger, it should still be a priority to you. It shouldn't say, well, I don't stay by there, so I don't care. No, it's about caring about the people that it affects, even though it doesn't affect you, because if somebody get hurt, it affects the whole community.
No, but
Councilman.
that's what I'm trying to say.
Yeah.
If there was an emergency at my house, they probably am going over 4 speed bumps to get to my house. How much longer is it gonna take that first responder to get to my house going over 4 speed bumps? That's my concern, is that, let's say someone got hurt on the sledding hill, and we had to call 911, they're going over 4 speed bumps, that could make a big difference in that, you know, person safety. So that's what my concern, because my concern would come in with speed bumps. Not saying that I'm necessarily 100% opposed. Obviously, cost is definitely
Yeah.
a factor. If we could maybe get funding from the state for it, it'd be something I'd consider. But public safety is still more important, so that's why I, you know, just want to make sure
Yeah.
that, you know, the public safety director would, you know, recommend it.
Yeah.
Absolutely. So we'll add it on the list as an idea, and then the proposed next step would be for the public safety director and the deputy fire chief to look into it and give us more information on it.
Councilman, I'm sorry.
So when I was on council the first time, I actually did have a conversation with the director of public safety about it because of a resident, complaining about continuous speeding. And this was near a school, and he actually was not in favor of it, what he mentioned to me was that, his concern was for, like emergency vehicles,
Yeah.
EMS, and things of that nature, so, that was just what he said at the time, but that was like about 2 years ago, so.
Yeah, and so I think one of his concerns with using speed bumps was they couldn't, I think, Councilwoman as well, was that during the, you know, winter times, we couldn't get them up, but they do have ones when you can get them up during the winter times and replace them and put them back. And then we can look at Detroit, but Detroit is way bigger than Eastpointe, so our amount won't be close to $14 million. But we were talking about not pushing the city to go with it. I was talking about doing a survey, like we do everything else, to see how and I got my neighbor in the audience, and you know it's speeding down our street. I have a couple people that's in here that will say that, and we want to hear from you all, because you all don't always have time to come to these meetings. And so, you know, having speed bumps should be something that we do a survey on, because like Councilman DeMonico believes in data and statistics and things like that. We want to see the data and statistics of the 33,000 people, mostly, and see what they say about that, and then let what the people say help us with our decision-making. And so, so how does that sound, doing a survey, and we can go from there? because I know we did a survey about parks and stuff like that. We should definitely do one about safety in our streets, Councilman.
Yeah, thank you. Survey would be, that would be okay, I guess, but I can't imagine too many people would say, no, I don't want a speed bump on my street because I want to go the speed that I want to go. I've seen a lot of speed bumps too, but Councilman DeMonico was right. You're talking millions of dollars, and the city of Detroit, I think, probably got a few grants from the federal government with that. That would be the only route that I would think of to enable to get speed bumps. And where do you put a speed bump? On my street on Lexington, do you put it right by Forest, or do you put it by Haas? And once the person jumps over the speed bump, do they still stay at that speed, or they go back up to where they were before? So, it's survey be all right, but I can't imagine anybody saying, no, I don't want a speed bump. I think most of the people would say yes. So I think we can assume that people would like a speed bump, but it's like anything else. And I keep bringing up the money part, and I'm not normally a money person, but you got to face facts. If it's going to cost tens of millions of dollars, we don't have tens of millions of dollars, and that unless somebody knows the two senators in Washington really well, we'll have a hard time finding money. So we need to do that. So I'm not trying to put water on this thing with the speed bumps, Madam Mayor, but I'm trying to be practical too, and it's just a lot of money, and I'm not convinced that speed bumps work. I go to a bagel shop in Harper Woods a couple of times a week, and we go down a street that has speed bumps. The speed limit's about 30 or 35. Once you go over the speed bump, you go back up to 35. So it's not I don't think it's that much of a deterrent, to be honest with you.
Yeah. Well, everyone's opinion is, important. We just having a conversation. And the reason for the survey, like we do any other thing, the survey isn't going to determine if we're going to get them next week or next year. It's just having a feel of what the residents want, right? And it's just hearing what they want. And then once we know what they want, then we research how that looks. We don't have a survey and have an answer for everything. Because if we do a survey for everybody want $1 million, we, everybody, me, but that don't mean we're gonna get it. Just like we're having a conversation about internet accessibility, broadband throughout the community. Everybody wants that. That doesn't mean we can get it done, but we can seek grants and we can seek the resources to make that possibly happen in certain areas that might be underserved and things like that. So we're gonna just, because I know you said you're not opposed to it, but you're kind of up and down. So I don't even want to revisit it, but that's just something that we're talking about goals. We're just having conversations here what our goals are, right? And I think everybody is on the right page. So I think we agreed to the rain gardens, doing many grants for that. Council, something short term.
Yeah, we can get, grants and then always.
Agree to do what?
Rain gardens to help with storm. Yeah, to help with
Yeah,
flooding.
I suppose.
All this stuff they're just looking into.
Rain garden's fine.
Yeah. It helps with flooding and stormwater and things like that. So, in our infrastructure, you get that for us. And it didn't sound like no one really wanted to do a survey on the speed bump. So we're going to move along. And then we're working on the pension. And the housing, we're doing pretty good with the housing. And the prioritize vacant, underutilized residential properties for redevelopment. We talked about that already. How many do we have, vacant land and things like that? And underutilized property that we're not using. Do you have a number?
The city owns, currently with one residential house that does not have an approval for a plan moving forward, and then we have 3 residential vacant lots that were either, that were not, there was no winning bidder when we did the program in 2020.
Okay. What about underutilized residential, underutilized as far as the lots? Because a lot of people have been asking me this, how do people get access to knowing how to buy these lots and how to buy these homes? Why is it not on our website and things like that? You know, and I'm like, you know what, that's a good question. As the mayor, I don't know that. So how do people find out if these houses are for sale, and how do they, if we do give them to Habitat, do we have something on our website where if they need a house, they can reach out to Habitat? Like, how do,
We could definitely add that. We've been talking about doing a resource page that includes some of the county resources. There's a new state grant that's, it is a grant that's available for property owners, including those that have land contracts. So this is something new that will cover things such as, I don't know if it covers taxes, but it covers utility bills and payments up to $25,000. So that was just announced this week. So we're putting that on our website and our social media. When we had the 20-plus vacant lots several years ago, we did announce it on our website. We did put up physical signs, and we did several at a time. We publicized that. So it's something we can consider for the future.
what about the residential lots in the residential house? Like, how would someone buy that lot?
So what we did is we advertised that we had, we did about, I think, 5 lots at a time. Every week, we had 5 lots, and we advertised that they were available. We posted information on the size, the location, and had pictures. We also put up signs that said it was available for sale, and we had a closed bid process.
Okay, that was in our newspaper and on our website?
It was on our website. We didn't have a newspaper back then in 2020.
On the cable channel too.
Oh, the cable channel, sorry.
In a
It was on
cable channel, okay.
And I think we posted in-house too, in the city hall.
Okay, thank you. And we are on, community building goals. Council,
I mean, we already kind of talked about the parks a little bit, so for me, that'd be my number one priority.
okay.
Yeah, I think we went so many years without doing anything, I mean, we had a recession, and the city had to cut somewhere, so that was, one priority that was cut, so we gotta make up for all that time lost. I think we just gotta keep doing what we've been doing the last few years on that, for sure.
Anyone else wanna? All right, I don't wanna skip anyone. So as far as add positivity, building on the perception of Eastpointe, continue to improve civic functions and things like that. Anybody have any ideas of events and things like that for the community? I know last year we just celebrated Juneteenth, which was awesome, right here in the city of Eastpointe. So, and I know I talked about setting a commission, so when we do these events, that we have someone that oversees these things and a subcommittee, so the mayor doesn't have to do all the time, and just have these things, because I know Councilman Curley has a subcommittee and a committee that's been doing the grassroots cruise for many years and events like that. So, we don't want to exclude anyone, not just African Americans, but people of other, backgrounds, events here in the city of Eastpointe, and how do we, push those objectives? Because I really want to do something like that, and I think that's why I wanted the council and myself to set up those commissions for veterans and things like that. So if they want to have events or they want to do something, they're always included, even though we include them anyway, but having different commissions that pertain and it's strongly directed to them would really help. I know we talked about that before. I didn't really get too much feedback, but we just talking about that. And also,
Just respond to what you just talked about, if you don't mind.
oh, yes, I'm sorry, I'm just
So,
looking down.
Yes, I agree with you. So I'm on a committee right now that helps plan different events for veterans and for Memorial Day and things like that. So I do work on, there is a group of volunteers that works on planning. We did a Veterans Day event here this year. We're gonna be planning Memorial Day Parade. We're trying right now, so if anyone in the audience is interested in joining this group, we are always looking for volunteers, so please contact me. I will give you the information. We're gonna be meeting on the third Monday of every month. So, yes, I do work on that. Also, I've reached out to a couple of different organizations in trying to possibly plan, or I've kind of talked with a couple organizations about planning maybe a Juneteenth event. So I'm hoping that maybe we can get something like that this summer also. We do have a lot of great organizations in the
I apologize. I forgot you do the Memorial Day Parade. So she does the Memorial Day Parade, and she heads that on, and then we have our councilman that's been doing a Gratiot Cruise for over 20-something years. So, but we also want to do other events that, make, that as diversity and inclusion, even though these are all something that everybody celebrates. But we want to celebrate other things as well, and how do we do that? And also community building goals. We don't have a recreation, somewhere we would do recreation and things like that, even though we partner up with Rare. And so I said that to say we don't really have anything in a community that helps with community building. I know we started the Boys and Girls Club for the youth and things like that, but we don't have too many things. And I know we have the museum, and I want to know, how do you guys want to, because that's been leased for how long now?
Randy, do you know offhand?
I think it's been leased for a couple years for $1 a year. And so we talked about underutilized and community goals. So how long have that been leased for $1 a year?
It may be as far back as 2014, but I don't know the exact start date.
Okay. Because when I say that, I know it's only open on Saturdays, even though it's been a gem of the community. But I know a lot of museums, like in Detroit, I know we run in Detroit up, that has these museums open every day. And they are a value of the community. And so is there any way we can, utilize that for another, museum, or have that museum partner up with something, or use that building for, recreation or something for the community? Or what else can we do? Or actually possibly maybe sell it or make some money off of it that would help with funding some of our lead pipes or anything like that? Because we have a building that's being utilized for $1 a year. And nobody really goes there. And it's only open once every blue moon. I just want to see what council has to say about that. Councilman?
Okay, I'll say, actually, I think they're open on Saturdays and Sundays. And charging $1, you can debate on both sides. But I guess, Madam Mayor, I'm coming from a position that it's a military museum showing the folks what the military did through all of our conflicts. And I don't know, I would not be in favor of saying that your contract is over, we're going to take over the building because we want to make some money. Well, I don't know how much money you're talking about. I don't know how much money you would make. And I think maybe somebody on the council can help me out. Or I don't think you can sell the property without going through a lot of, because there's something to do with the government. So it's not an easy thing just to say. But anyway, bottom line, you asked for our opinion, so I just think, bottom line, leave it alone. I think they're doing a great service for the military. Not too many cities do that, and I think we ought to be proud that we have volunteers that go over there and do what they do. And if you've never been to the military museum, folks, avail yourself to go there. A lot of memories there of people who fought and survived and who fought and died. So when we get into something like that, I guess you can tell, Madam Mayor, I'm pretty adamant about it. That do I want money or do I want the military to stay there? I would say I want the military people to stay there.
Anybody else?
Yes, Madam Mayor.
I'm sorry.
Real quick, so first of all, when it comes to recreation in the city, I know this is something that's been discussed many times. Maybe it's something we need to start pushing Rare, because our taxes go to Rare, which we share with Roseville. They have a recreation center in Roseville. It's at 11.5-mile in Gratiot area. Eastpointe residents are all welcome to use it. But I don't think it's something that we should be planning. I think that's something, because we're already paying taxes to that. Part of we have a millage that pays for that. We should be having that discussion with Rare. I mean, that's the discussion with them. I don't think as taxpayers, we're already paying for this. We should be paying on top of that, out of our tax dollars for more recreation. So with that said, the military museum, they are only open on the weekends. I think since COVID, it has only been Saturdays, I believe. I'm not sure if they lost a lot of, visitors, but I think they do plan on opening up, on Saturday and Sundays. They also host a lot of groups there, Boy Scouts, Girl Scouts, things like that. They allow them to use those rooms and facilities for free, so they have meeting spaces. They also, work with a lot of other organizations that they have meet there. So even though they're only open on the weekends, that building is being used throughout the week for other nonprofits to go in there, children's groups, things like that, so they can, do activities and stuff.
Madam Mayor, if I might, we're only on the second page. It's 3 minutes to 7. We have a really long council meeting, and some of which is going to have a lot of conversation. So I would suggest that we would close this special meeting right now, and I also would suggest if we're going to finish this, let's brainstorm and maybe have it on an off Tuesday. We're not going to finish this in an hour if we made it at the next council meeting, but we're rushed. It's 3 minutes to 7 now. We got just in time to go to the bathroom and come back up and call the meeting to order. But I would suggest, council members, that let's finish it another time, but let's do it on a different day other than a council meeting.
I agree.
That's my opinion.
Thank you, Councilman. I agree. Maybe we can, the next time we have it, we have the ideas of all the other directors,
Absolutely.
and then we can start with the conversations that we had today.
Do you want to propose a date, Mayor?
Let me look at. You all want to probably do it probably on a Wednesday or something, on an off day, or Thursday,
Does
or a
off
Monday,
Tuesday
whatever.
doesn't- Where are we now?
Or early, what you talking about, like an early Tuesday at 5, maybe?
I thought that's what Councilman Curley was saying, just like a normal Tuesday, but we could start earlier, right? Is what?
Probably like at 5, maybe?
Right, so like March 8th, I think, right? I get something like that. That'd be between our 2 March meetings.
March 8th. I want to kind of have it on the same week of a council meeting, because it's like back to back to back. Probably like,
On a Saturday?
oh, no.
Is that what you said?
No, I did not say a Saturday.
You said Saturday.
No.
No,
Personally, I prefer Tuesdays, just because they work out better for me.
Okay.
And then I know that I don't think there's any boards or commissions that meet on Tuesdays either, so.
Yeah, so y'all want to do it early Tuesday, maybe at 5, maybe?
on the council night?
No, on March 8th, I think.
On March
they're
8th.
proposing.
I can't foresee that right now. If y'all want to say it, like I said, I try to do stuff in the same week as a council meeting, because I don't want to have a meeting back to back to back. I try to do all my meetings in one week if I can. So,
Well, we're going to sit here for 10 minutes trying to figure out what's good for you, what's good for me, what's good for you.
So let's yeah.
Let's decide what's good on your own color, on your own time at home. Notify the city manager of our options and pick a day, and then she can notify all of us for what day we all agreed on.
I want to just send her some dates and then go keep it moving.
Well-
Okay. That works. Send some dates. Okay, we'll send you some dates, and then you'll send us that information.
You guys don't mind if we start our regular meeting 5 minutes late, do you? I've got to go to the bathroom.
Yeah, we all do, yeah.
Gary is not happy, let the record.
Right.
No.
So we're gonna skip, mayor and council reports. Excuse me, guys, we're still in the middle of the meeting, so we go to the next meeting, we gotta adjourn this one, so let's keep it. Okay, so